that Queen Bey herself, the Beyonce, she has a song in which she supposedly mentions, she mentions Lizzo. It's in the lyrics, and she skipped over Lizzo last night in her song.
Thinking about little kids that were her fans.
Have we ever seen Lizzo and Tyrus in the same room together?
Claustrophobic.
Why did she do this?
In another photo, we can see the lovely Lizzo, who is supposed to be all for body positivity.
Yeah, they're gonna get a fat check. Yeah, they're gonna get a fat settlement.
Lizzo is just another gross Hollywood elite.
Me at my graduation. Me at my wedding. Me when Lizzo's downfall is finally started.
I know her lawyer eye twitching real bad. Yeah!
It's not just Lizzo. When you said Lizzo.
3 former backup dancers are suing the pop superstar, her production company, and her tour's dance instructor, alleging sexual and racial harassment.
My demeanor was the same, my energy was the same, my danceability was the same. It was the first time I had showed up noticeably having gained weight.
Feeling great, man. I love Amsterdam.
At what point did you realize that what you were experiencing, what you experienced, was not normal?
You know, it's Amsterdam, so we party.
On the Insta stories, you were on the red light district?
Yeah, we were.
Me of all people, they thought it was funny that I was touching this performer.
You were to the Casa Rosso?
Oh my God, how do you know that?
Because
The humiliation.
you saw a live show.
Me personally,
I'm not gonna say what she did.
looking at the response from Lizzo was so disheartening.
But I'm trying to go to the show where you eat the banana out the Which one is that?
In that meeting that we had where she got physical and was about to assault me.
This is the banana bar.
Oh, that's the banana bar?
Yeah, you
and
were
they
at
have
the
the
banana
banana
bar.
in the cheese?
And ping pong balls.
And you have to go,
Yes. And
that's what I want to do.
Then you have to eat it.
I need my potassium, if you know what I'm saying. My potassium.
You're screwed, though, with this lawsuit. You're screwed, girl.
Basic, for real. So this one was buzzing. Yeah. Throw it in the garbage, kill it with fire. Bye! Is it showing in the background? Hello, everybody. We definitely obviously have our stuff together over here. Welcome to BJ Investigates, a show I kind of just created and might never do again. I don't know what we did the last episode. I think we might have done, the newspaper story, which y'all did not watch. So go watch that. Bye. Anyway, so today's video is actually something that, full disclosure, I did record weeks ago, maybe months ago at this point. And it was about, as you can probably see from the title and the thumbnail, Lizzo. So one thing led to another, and I didn't end up putting that video out contemporaneously with when it happened. And then for a while I was kind of like, maybe I don't need to say anything about this whole Lizzo thing anyway. Maybe it all happened for a reason. One thing led to another. I didn't actually end up posting the video in time or whatever. And then it's like, no, I need to talk about Lizzo. So no, I'm gonna play y'all the video, what I had made a few months or weeks or whatever ago. The big reason that I feel like I really wanted to say this and I really wanted to put it out there was kind of want to bury the lead. I kind of want to make y'all real surprised at the end by what I'm going to say, but I'm going to just put it up here up front because here's the real truth. And I'm going to put all kind of qualifiers and disclaimers in this video. It's going to be like the most middle of the road video probably on YouTube, and still some way, somehow, some of y'all are going to figure out a way to put words in my mouth and make it seem like I'm saying and doing stuff I'm not saying and doing. Bye, get off this channel. This ain't for you. But I really felt like I needed to say this because, number one, nobody else that I've seen literally anywhere on the internet has said this perspective. And two, I personally have now been victim of people lying in court documents, people making up boldface, unmitigated lies about me in a court document. And then they're trying to use these court documents as some type of evidence that I've done these things that are frankly being lied about in court documents. So now it's like personal. So now I kind of want to really say what I'm going to say in this video, and that's the reason I'm putting it out late, not on time, because I didn't even know if I was going to put it out. But I'm definitely putting it out because you're watching it right now and it's already out. So meta. Anyway, let's get into it. I don't really like to cover these high-profile lawsuits that everybody seems to have already formed an opinion on. For example, you will not find a video of me talking about or analyzing the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, for example. I tend to want to stay away from these highly polarized topics, but for some reason, it's really on my heart, it's really on my mind that I feel like I just need to put this like sort of different opinion out on the internet, and for that reason, I do expect expect some people to not actually want to listen to what I have to say. I expect some people are going to jump to conclusions before they reach the end of the video. People might try to put words in my mouth and say that I'm saying things that I'm not. So this video moving forward is for adults who have critical thinking. All right. If you've already made your mind up in this case, that's wonderful. It's no reason for you to watch my video. Please have a nice day, and I'll see y'all in the next video. But this video, really what had happened was I saw a lot of the coverage of the Lizzo lawsuit. And most of the time, whenever something is huge and a big story in the media, there's different sides. Like Republicans and Democrats, for example, are fighting about it, right? At least. Or some left and some right is all arguing.
You're like a fan. You win a fan competition, and then she's just like, yo, you're fat, lose some weight, fatty.
Yeah, not great there. Not great stuff there. From the Lizzo.
When everybody across political aisles agrees to things, I have seen people not want to agree to like the sky is damn blue because they want to make it political. Okay, y'all know what I'm talking about. When everybody's all on the same side of something, I really hesitate to want to touch it. But in this case, there's just some stuff I'm not seeing being said, and I would feel like I wasn't doing my job to put out a slightly different perspective. Now, I even wrote a script. I'm gonna be reading from a script because I anticipate people freaking out about it, but maybe y'all will know how to act because generally y'all do. So thank you very much. Now, if you're in the same boat as me, you have not been able to escape the constant barrage of Lizzo lawsuit coverage over the past week, basically since news of the case broke. Almost feels kind of like deja vu from another high profile case. And everybody from podcasters to commentary channels all the way up to news outlets and former Lizzo associates are all stepping out and saying things. They all jumped on this story like basically immediately. And a lot of depraved and deranged allegations came out in the lawsuit itself. And then after the lawsuit news broke, like more additional allegations were dogpiled on by Lizzo associates and colleagues, including her documentary director. And it's really not looking good for Lizzo at this point. So by the looks of things, the court of public opinion has made up its mind. Lizzo is a depraved monster who is guilty of everything that she's ever been accused of. But the way that she could go from so highly beloved and praised to the internet's biggest villain, like basically overnight, it did make me wonder a larger question. Where does that exactly put us? What does it mean for where we are today? And what does it mean for the future? In today's video, we'll take a deeper look into the publicly available court filings, as well as some relevant social media statements from the parties to see what we can uncover in our constant search for the truth, however unpleasant it may end up being. So let's start with the lawsuit itself, beginning with the parties in the case. First, it's the plaintiffs. Now, the plaintiffs are the ones who are suing in the lawsuit. That's usually going to be the first party mentioned or the party on the left side of the V in the lawsuit. In this case, the plaintiffs are all former backup dancers for Lizzo, and their names are Crystal Williams, Ariana Davis, and Noel Rodriguez. Now, all of the factual allegations in the entire case, I'm talking about the lawsuit, all of the factual allegations come from these three plaintiffs in this case. So back in March 2021, Lizzo was casting for a reality competition show on Amazon Prime called Watch Out for the Big Girls, where plus-size dancers competed for the opportunity to perform dances with Lizzo in her live concerts and tours. Two of the plaintiffs in the lawsuit, Crystal and Ariana, were contestants on that show. The third plaintiff, Noel, began working as one of Lizzo's dancers before the reality competition show began filming. So you have Crystal and Ariana, they were contestants on the show. Then you have Noel Rodriguez, who was already working for Lizzo by the time the show started shooting, right? Get it? Crystal, Ariana over here, they're on the show. Noel over here. She's also suing Lizzo and them, but she didn't go on the show like them, from what I could tell. It is kind of ambiguous, but that's my understanding. I could be corrected. So before we get any further, let's discuss the defendants. Now, there are 3 defendants whose names are listed in the lawsuit, and then 10 unidentified or anonymous defendants. Of course, we all probably know by now Lizzo herself is one of the defendants in the lawsuit. She's one of the people getting sued. And another defendant is Lizzo's company, Big Girl Big Touring Inc. The final named defendant in the lawsuit is a woman by the name of Charlene Quigley, who is the dance team captain captain. For Lizzo, she also was a judge on the show. So those are the 3 defendants that we know. Lizzo, the dance team captain, and the touring company. Then there's like 8 to 10 other people getting sued. We don't know who they are. So now I want to get a little bit into the timeline of the events that allegedly happened, and then I also want to talk a little bit about some of the allegations. So Lizzo's reality dance competition show began filming in August 2021. Like I said earlier, Crystal and Ariana were contestants on the show, and that's where they first met Lizzo and her dance team captain, Charlene. Not only was Charlene the dance team captain, but she was also a judge and an instructor on the Big Girls competition show. According to the lawsuit, Charlene is a very devout Christian, and she, quote, regularly preached at Ariana about what Charlene believed to be a shared Christian identity. The lawsuit goes on to allege that Charlene, the captain, the dance captain, took particular interest in Ariana's purported virginity and would routinely, quote, bring up Ariana's virginity not only to Ariana herself, but also publicly in news interviews.
That was the beginning of us dating, right? Me and God. And I was still smoking weed. I was going to church high, like, woo.
And social media posts. According to the lawsuit, and completely understandably, Ariana did not appreciate Charlene talking about such an intimate and private detail of her life. Because so it's like your boss going out and doing news interviews about your you-know-what life. Like, I would not like that either. If that's true, I certainly see why Ariana would not want Charlene to be doing that. Yeah, I mean, that you just can't help but agree. It's like a total reasonable person standard, right? If your boss is out here talking about you, what you're doing in your personal intimate life, it's very weird. And certainly I can not see any good reason for someone to do that. Even back when they were interviewing Britney Spears about like her virginity and stuff. That was so weird. Nasty. Don't do that. Ugh. And also, why are you bringing it up to your employee? It's very weird. Anyway. Let's keep going on the complaint. Another issue Ariana brings up in the lawsuit has to do with a competition on the reality show. Apparently, one of the challenges was to pose with no clothes on for a photo shoot. And this absolutely does not surprise me because we've seen this type of stuff before on reality TV time and time again, really. From Howard Stern and Fear Factor to America's Next Top Model and RuPaul's Drag Race.
I want to go home. Like, I can't take the pressure of it. Don't you think any job interview...
We've really seen this a lot on reality television, that you have to take your clothes off, get your picture taken, whatever. The Swan, I think, had one of them. It really doesn't come as a surprise to me that would be a challenge on the show because it's pretty par for the course at this point with reality television. But that being said, it doesn't make it acceptable or right. And it absolutely is understandable that someone would not want to participate in that challenge. I would not want to participate in a challenge like that. So I can see why Ariana wouldn't, or why she'd be uncomfortable with it. But nevertheless, Ariana, even though she didn't want to participate in the photo shoot, she also didn't want to be retaliated against or kicked off the show. She didn't want it to be held against her in any way that she didn't do the challenge. So she's kind of standing there, according to the lawsuit. She said her anxiety flared up and she broke down in tears right there on set, presumably having a bit of an anxiety attack. I'm not a doctor, I really don't know, but she says in the lawsuit, anxiety flared up, tears on set. So again, I can definitely see why being asked to do this challenge and this competition would cause exactly that reaction. Completely believable story so far. After Ariana did start crying and having this anxiety flare up, the producers did change the rules for her and they allowed her to wear a nude color bra and a nude color underwear instead of going fully nude. And Ariana did complete the challenge. Fortunately, it does not seem like the judges did hold that against Ariana, at least on the show, because she was ultimately chosen as one of the winners and she was chosen to be one of Lizzo's dancers on tour and do live performances. So that's very cool. So by September 2021, she was chosen to be one of the dancers, and so was, of course, Crystal. So the next spring, so that's September 2021, fast forward to April the next year, 2022, Crystal and Ariana as winners of the show, along with Noelle, who had been working for Lizzo and with Lizzo for nearly a year at that point, all of them start together rehearsing in preparation for the special tour. Now, during these rehearsals, all 3 dancers worked closely with Charlene, that Christian dance captain, who apparently, quote, continued to preach at everyone in her surroundings, especially about her beliefs regarding Christianity and sexuality. And despite Charlene's espoused beliefs, she apparently had this quote party trick where she would do certain things to a banana unannounced and unprompted. And according to the lawsuit, that made all three plaintiffs uncomfortable, which again, if these allegations are true, I can understand why that would make you uncomfortable. Like, who wants your boss doing weird party tricks with a banana unprompted and that's very weird. I agree with them. I would be uncomfortable. So according to the lawsuit, not only did Charlene constantly preach at Ariana, who Charlene believed Ariana was a Christian, that was the reason for her doing that, but Charlene also apparently bullied Noelle for not being a Christian. Charlene, again, dance captain, apparently told cast members that it was her mission to minister to Noelle about Christianity during the special tour. And according to Noelle, she didn't like that. At some point, she did specifically request Charlene stop preaching to her about religion. And Charlene stated, quote, "No job and no one will stop me from talking about the Lord." And listen, y'all, I love a good free speech moment, especially when it comes to something like religious beliefs. But it's also understandable that Noelle would be uncomfortable when her boss refused to respect her express wishes to stop being preached at all the time in a workplace environment. On top of the fact that Miss Charlene seems to have her own very weird response to this whole thing.
Hey everybody, I just want to get on here really quick and say God is so good. God loves you so much. No matter what you're going through, even if you don't love him, he loves you. Glory to God. I just want to remind you that his love is true. He is the light, he's the first and the last, and all things are together for those that are called according to his purpose. And I just feel blessed. I feel so thankful.
And if this is how she's acting in real life toward Noelle, I could see how that would just be a little bit off-putting. I'll leave it at that. So another problem Noelle had was the supposedly optional group prayer circle that the dancers would participate in before rehearsals and performances. According to the suit, Noelle would feel judged if she didn't participate in the prayer circle. Not only did the dancers pray in the circle, but they would take turns leading the circle in prayer. So Noelle repeatedly declined to lead the prayer circle when it would come to be her turn. But every time, Charlene would just pressure Noelle into leading the prayer circle anyway. And again, this is the same girl that asked Charlene, like, "I'm not a Christian, please stop preaching at me." Now Charlene, instead of doing that, she's now pushing Noelle to lead the prayer circle. And no, it's not, I don't believe in this. This is very weird to me. There's nothing wrong at all with people practicing their own religious beliefs proudly, openly, even in a group setting at work. But nobody should ever feel pressured to participate in, or especially like lead a religious group ritual, especially when they don't even practice or follow that religion or believe in it or whatever. Like, that's, I could understand why that would make Noelle feel uncomfortable. But this is all if the allegations that Noelle is making are true. There is at least some circumstantial evidence on the public record that Charlene might be a little bit over the top with her Christianity.
The Lord gave me an incredible word last night, and I just have to share. When I was sitting and soaked in his presence, I heard him say, those who are walking in full obedience will experience an acceleration of blessings. The word is just it's gonna be like crazy acceleration for the body of Christ. And there will be an amazing revival taking place. There will be radical faith in the name of Jesus. And that radical faith is just going to be like, there's going to be like incredible healing taking place. I see that in the hospitals because we're going to be walking in obedience with this radical faith, and just revival is going to break out, healing, miraculous wonders. Like, let's go 2023. This is lit.
So I am inclined to believe this part, but we don't really know. We weren't there and we haven't seen all the evidence. You see where I'm going with this? Which brings us to the banana incident. And this is the incident that really made me want to cover this whole thing. Like, it is just, oh my God, what I saw in the headlines that day. It was shocking. It was shocking. It was deranged and depraved. So let's get into it. So in February 2023, the tour stops off in Amsterdam. That's a city in the Netherlands that is widely known for its liberal, we'll say, views on sex work and their sort of anything goes, highly sexualized nightlife scene. They have this whole district called the Red Light District. It's very much known for that over there. There's plenty other stuff to do, but it's something that's very known for in Amsterdam. So according to the lawsuit, after the Amsterdam show, Lizzo invited the dancers out for a night on the town with her. This was a common practice and was completely optional and voluntary. According to to the complaint, it was, quote, well known that the dance cast members were expected to endear themselves to Lizzo. And to be honest, that's probably true. I know it was true for every job I've ever had and ever worked since I was 15 years old. Everybody knows you have to endear yourself to the boss, and especially the rainmaker of the workplace. Now, does that make it right? That's not what I'm here to discuss. Probably no. But if the allegation is everybody was expected to endear themselves to Lizzo, I believe that is probably true. So, according to the dancers in the lawsuit, these optional nights out were not exactly optional. They claim that, quote, those who attended the after-party events Lizzo planned were often favored, selected to perform with Lizzo at shows outside of regularly scheduled tour dates, and were widely considered to enjoy greater job security. The quote goes on to say, by not attending, dancers not only risked losing out on being selected for these additional shows and therefore additional income, but they also risked being ostracized from the group, putting their continued employment on tour in jeopardy. So, according to the lawsuit, after that Amsterdam concert, Lizzo sent a personal invitation to Ariana and Noel through another dancer, asking Ariana and Crystal to accompany Lizzo to a night out on the town. Ariana and Noel claim that they were kind of rushed to answer, and they also were pressured, the implication being that they might hurt Lizzo's feelings if they declined the offer. The lawsuit goes on to specify that Lizzo had a specific place in mind that she wanted to attend in the red light district, and the place was called Banana Bar.
I'm gonna go to the show where you eat the banana out the pussy. Which one is that?
Now, the lawsuit does specify exactly what type of activities occur at the Banana Bar, but suffice it to say that it involves bananas, and you are more than welcome to do your own research on the extent of what that is. Apparently, it came as a big surprise to these dancers, according to the lawsuit, that Lizzo would want to go out in the red light district, despite Lizzo's repeated history of talking about the red light district and also explicitly stating in public interviews that she wanted to go to the red light district.
This is a banana bar.
Well, that's the banana bar?
Yeah, you're
and
right.
they have the banana in the
and ping pong balls.
And you have to go.
Yes.
But in the suit, Ariana and Noel claim they did not find out about the full scope of the night until after they had accepted the offer to go. And they claim that they didn't feel comfortable with backing out after telling Lizzo basically personally, yes, I'm going to come out with you tonight. They found out about the Banana Bar. They were uncomfortable, but they didn't feel empowered to back out. They thought they may face a repercussion. So the dancers did attend the night out with Lizzo as part of her crew and participated in the debaucheries of the night. This is apparently where Lizzo and the rest of the posse pressured Ariana to touch one of the performers at the bar. I have some commentary on that. I'm not putting it here. We'll get to it at the end of the next example. So the next month in France, while they were all still out on tour, Lizzo invited the dancers out again for another night out on the town. This time, it was a cabaret performance, but Lizzo did not inform everyone of where they were going this time. Remember the Banana Bar, it was like, we're going out, but she didn't tell them where. She was like, we're going to the red light district, but they didn't feel like they could say no, so they said yes. This time it's like, do you want to come out on a mystery night in France, right? That was Amsterdam with the bananas. This is France at the cabaret, which actually easy to keep track of because that tracks. That makes sense. Like, I would imagine more cabaret. Okay, anyway. So this time was a cabaret performance, but Lizzo did not inform everyone where they were going. So when the scantily clad performers did come out on stage and start revealing more, the plaintiffs alleged that they didn't have any warning or opportunity to decline the attendance before being bombarded with these performers in their face type of situation. And that actually does make total sense that they would take issue with this. Of course, any reasonable person would want to be informed and to consent before being bombarded with the nude body in your face out of context situation, especially like in a workplace. Like, totally understandable. Would be weird. I wouldn't do that if I was somebody's boss. Put it that way. All right, this is not legal advice. However, it wouldn't be my channel. We wouldn't be doing what we do over here if we didn't at least ask a couple questions whenever they're glaring and obvious. For example, would it have really made a difference if they were informed? The reason I say that is this. Just one paragraph earlier in their complaint, when they were talking about Amsterdam, the lawyers and Ariana and the plaintiffs basically say they had no choice but to go to the Banana Bar. The working environment was so hostile and such that they feared repercussions to say no. So even though they didn't want to go to the Banana Bar, they went anyway. And even though she didn't want to do the banana stunts, she did it anyway. And even though she didn't want to do the touch the performer, she did it anyway. And her reasoning was that she was basically being bullied. which could be true. But then in the France situation, in the lawsuit right here, the lawyer says that the plaintiffs were robbed of their opportunity to decline to go. So the lawyers spend a great deal of real estate on paper arguing the dancers really had no choice but to go to the banana bar place back in Amsterdam. So it does make me wonder why they hinged the entire next argument in the very next paragraph on the fact that they were, quote, robbed of the choice not to participate. Like, wouldn't the reason be they had no choice to participate because they were being bullied, because they had no meaningful choice? Now this is saying, well, they had no choice to participate, but you just told me a paragraph before, even if you had the choice to participate, you still would have felt forced to go. So you really had no choice to participate already. So it's one thing that I noticed, legal, analysis here, not legal advice. Second question that this raises to me is, by Ariana and the plaintiffs' own admission in their own lawsuit, the own complaint they filed, the cabaret show was, quote, artful and way more tame than the previous banana bar experience was. So I guess I'm just wondering if we still have free speech, I'm just wondering if I could ask, what exactly should Lizzo, the person, have done here? She should have informed them they were going to an artful performance, cabaret performance, after should she have assumed that the cabaret show would be so offensive to the dancers who had yet at that point to complain about the banana bar situation? This lawsuit is basically saying somebody should have assumed that these women would have had a big problem with the cabaret performance, but they hadn't said anything about the banana bar performance. They hadn't declined to go. It's like, I see where they're coming from. There are many reasons that I can see why a dancer would have been reluctant to report it to anyone. I'm not saying she should have reported it. That's not what I'm saying. Be very careful and listen to what I'm actually saying. I'm saying, what should Lizzo have actually done? Because it doesn't seem reasonable that from the information that Lizzo was working with, they had all done this banana bar thing together. She hadn't received any complaints. So on Lizzo's perspective, I don't see how she could have possibly known anyone would have had a problem with the cabaret thing if they already just last month went to the wild and extreme banana bar situation. But I can absolutely see why it wasn't reported. I mean, there's been stuff happen to me I never reported. So I definitely know that. I'm saying she should have reported. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, how would Lizzo have known? Someone's reading what I wrote here. There are many reasons why we can see why a dancer would have been reluctant to report it to anyone. I could also see why it might not have been feasible. Maybe they didn't have the structure in place to report it to anyone. But they kind of lay 100% of the blame in this lawsuit on Lizzo, when it seems like there could have been many additional ways that the situation happened and additional ways out of the situation that didn't necessarily make it like, oh, Lizzo was the holder of the keys kind of thing. But there are many additional allegations made in this lawsuit, some of which have been made public. Some of these additional allegations include that Lizzo overworked and underpaid the dancers, and that she and her team were racist, fatphobic, and otherwise problematic employers, creating a hostile work environment. As one example of these allegations, the lawsuit describes an instance where Lizzo had the dancers re-audition to keep their spot after they all returned from the European leg of the tour. So this is described in the lawsuit as an 8-hour audition process that ended up lasting more than 12 hours, and that does seem like a very long day. At some point during this re-audition, Ariana developed the urge to pee, but according to the lawsuit, she failed to ask for a break and failed to inform anyone that she needed to use the restroom at any time. Instead of excusing herself or asking someone for a break or telling them that she needed a break, Ariana took it upon herself to pee on the stage. And listen, I know how it feels to be afraid of your boss and also to be afraid to ask for a break. And indeed, I have done that before where it's like, I'm on a shift or whatever, you just can't. It is possible that the work environment created by Lizzo was so scary and brutal that it made the dancers afraid for their job security, especially during a re-audition. But I would not be doing this story service if I didn't just point out, Ariana, by her own admission, she never actually asked for a break before taking the very extreme step of soiling herself. She didn't ask for a break. She never even told anyone she needed to pee. No one ever denied her a bathroom break in her own telling of the story. She didn't give Lizzo or the team an opportunity to say no or retaliate or do whatever thing it was that she was so afraid of happening. Instead, she urinated on herself and put biological waste on the stage for other people to dance through and ultimately have to clean up. Not to mention, she created a potential slip and fall hazard. I don't know how much was on the stage. And this is all according to Ariana's version of events. Another example of the hostile working environment comes to us again from Ariana, and this one starts on around page 18 of the original complaint. According to Ariana's version of events, Lizzo herself, along with a choreographer, arranged a meeting with Ariana to discuss her commitment to the dancer role. So it's Lizzo and a choreographer come together, schedule a meeting with Ariana directly, and they wanted to discuss her commitment to the dancer role. It seemed like at the time there was some shakeups going on within the staffing because they were having these re-auditions. People were being told nobody's job is safe. People were being told they needed to work on things, attitudes, and it was across all the departments, not just the dancers. The dancers just kind of were part of it, but there was, there's music people, production people, choreographer, like there's all these different people. So they wanted to meet with Ariana to discuss her commitment to the dancer role. So in this meeting, Lizzo and the choreographer pointed out that Ariana was visibly less, quote, bubbly and vivacious than she had been before the tour started. According to Ariana's own version of events, Lizzo and the choreographer asked if Ariana was, quote, struggling with something, and asked for an explanation as to why her mood had changed. The lawsuit states that Ariana assumed that these questions were, quote, thinly veiled concerns about Ariana's weight gain, which Ariana further assumed was fat phobic, and these are quotes from the lawsuit. Lawsuit, again filed by Ariana and the other plaintiffs, says that Lizzo and the choreographer never explicitly stated anything about Ariana's weight in this conversation. They did not ask her about or comment on her weight, her body, or her physical health. According to the lawsuit, Lizzo and the choreographer asked about Ariana's mood, whether everything was okay, and how they could assist her or help her. And maybe Lizzo was being fat phobic in the meeting. I obviously don't know. And even if I was there, it's still pretty much impossible to really get into someone's state of mind and assume what they're saying when they're not actually saying those exact words. But I do want to say it is possible that Lizzo was being fat phobic and Ariana was definitely picking up on those vibes. But that doesn't really make the most sense. To me, it makes at least equally as much sense that for any number of reasons, maybe very good reasons, maybe like 10 million really, really good reasons, Ariana's demeanor around rehearsals and her performances had just simply changed. We talked about a bunch of reasons why her demeanor wouldn't be bubbly and vivacious, right? It does make sense though. Y'all, it does make sense in reality that Lizzo and the choreographer would want a dancer to seem bubbly and vivacious. That's kind of their whole vibe on tour and at the concerts. That's what we pay for tickets to see. Especially when that exact dancer had gotten the job through being bubbly and vivacious, that exact same dancer. So on top of that, it is possible that Lizzo and the choreographer truly were actually concerned about Ariana and her well-being and whether everything was okay, whether something did happen. But the lawsuit doesn't really leave room for either of those possibilities. And I understand why the lawsuit wouldn't, because it's a lawsuit and you have to make your side, but I haven't seen it really being discussed out here in the public either. It takes these assumptions as if they're 100% fact, and then it discounts the very real possible alternative considerations that a woman who self-identifies as a big girl herself and who went out of her way to hire only plus-size dancers as her backup dancers, it makes just as much sense to assume that that person was not being fat phobic when she asked Ariana if everything was okay. There's additional allegations in the lawsuit, many of which you probably have heard widely publicized in the media, but I only have so much time today and I've already spent a lot longer recording this video than I wanted to, so I'm not going to be able to get into every single allegation. But before I go, I do just want to be very, very clear, and even with all these disclaimers, some of y'all are still not going to actually listen to what I'm saying, and that's fine. That's the risk you take. Get off my channel. I am not in any way defending Lizzo, defending her actions, or her decision to engage with any employee in these overtly sexualized environments, and especially the ones described in the banana bar. Clearly, these actions open her up not only to ethical and moral scrutiny, but also legal liability. There's certain things that are off limits as an employer, period. What I do want to do, though, is be fair. Many of the allegations in this lawsuit, if true, are abhorrent and egregious, and they sound exactly like the types of actions that prompted the Time's Up and Me Too movements. I absolutely stand with and support the victims of workplace harassment, and in particular, where there was sexual abuse. But there are other considerations that our entire society is built upon that I've seen kind of discarded in the public discourse of this lawsuit. We do have a legal system for a reason, as broken as it may be. Many of the allegations against Lizzo are not yet supported by facts or evidence. That all comes out in the next phase of the trial called discovery. And while I do see the urge to believe all victims, I have also seen people make false allegations for personal gain. Of course, to be abundantly clear, I am not implying in any way that I even believe that the 3 plaintiffs in this lawsuit are doing that. I'm fully prepared to believe 100% of the evidence that I see. And if it's 100% siding with them, I'm on their side. We haven't seen the evidence, and that's kind of my point. I don't know. I wasn't there. And neither do you. You weren't there. Nor was the judge or the jury or the tabloids or the traditional media or the dozens of drama and commentary channels on YouTube who have all determined based on rumors and assumptions that Lizzo is without a doubt a predatory monster, guilty of everything she's ever been accused of. I think there's a middle ground here that hasn't really been explored or brought up to the surface. Lizzo could be a horrible monster. I am open to that eventuality. But couldn't any of these plaintiffs be as well? Or more realistically, isn't it possible that the truth actually does lie somewhere in the middle? Like maybe Lizzo shouldn't have brought her employees to a sex bar, but maybe employees should ask for a bathroom break before pissing on themselves? Or maybe employees should have some evidence of fat phobia for jumping directly to that allegation when the employer behavior could be attributed to something else? I don't know. It's just kind of that prospect of like innocent till proven guilty that seems to be completely lost on people who are discussing this case. And it's really not what this whole system was founded upon. Of course, it's not a criminal case, so it's not guilt like that. But I feel like the same principles do kind of apply. Otherwise, what's the point in going to court and suing people anyway? What's the point? We have to say there's some faith that we still have left in it. This case also has definitely made me reconsider this recent urge to just believe and trust anyone who makes an allegation against someone in a lawsuit. While it's definitely true that we live in a very hostile environment where employers, especially in Hollywood and stuff like that, do often abuse and mistreat employees, we also live in a notoriously litigious environment where a lot of people do want to just sue for a quick buck. And I'm not saying any of that's going on in this case. I'm saying I've seen it elsewhere. My hope is that everyone, including me, can keep an open mind throughout the course of this litigation and let the facts and evidence come to light. If Lizzo did what she is accused of, she should pay the consequences. If she didn't, then it really isn't fair to be dragging her across the coals for something she didn't do. That's all I really had for today. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Love you, mean it, K, bye.